Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Brian Anderson, news editor at Demand Gen Report, and I'm happy to be here today. There's been a lot of talk in the space around conversational marketing and the use cases for AI, so let's get this ball rolling. First, a few housekeeping slides here. Be sure to connect with us on social media during and after today's presentation. You can follow along to the social buzz by tracking the hashtag BII19 hashtag on Twitter and LinkedIn. You can also connect with me as well as our presenter using the handles you see here. By attending the session today, you've been automatically entered into our prize pack drawing for the series. Congratulations. It wasn't really that hard. We're giving away a lot of awesome prizes throughout the event, including Amazon Echoes, Philips Hue starter packs, free passes to our upcoming B2B sales and marketing exchange in Boston, and a whole lot more. All you got to do is register for sessions and attend those sessions live. Every time you register, you'll earn one chance to win, and you'll be added to the drawing a second time when you sit in on sessions live throughout the week. So you have one more day after this one to catch up, so hopefully we're all signing up. As you might be aware, today's session is taking place in the On24 platform, which provides a lot of neat ways to participate in the conversation. We have a Q&A planned towards the end of the session, so please use the Q&A widget at the top right-hand corner of the screen to submit your questions at any time throughout the presentation. We also have some awesomely relevant and free content available for you in the resource list at the bottom right of the platform. You can also get social from directly within the platform using the Twitter widget on the left-hand side of your screen. You'll see at the bottom of your screen to the right of that little paper airplane there a button that will lead you to a very brief survey. We want to make sure that our series are relevant, useful, and always improving. So please take the time to share your feedback with us. We'd really appreciate it. Lastly, just a quick reminder that today's session is being recorded, and you will receive a link to the on-demand presentation to go review afterwards or share with your colleagues. Now I'm pleased to introduce our speaker for today's session, Sijp. Jan is the Senior Director of Product Marketing at Conversational, a company specializing in conversational AI assistance and AI-driven lead engagement software for the marketing and sales organizations at a variety of different companies in a variety of different industries. Prior to joining Conversational, Jan spent 5 years at the CX software provider Genesys, leading strategic programs including corporate strategy, competitive intelligence, sales enablement, and a whole lot more. So without further ado, I will pass things over to you, Jan. Go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thanks a lot, Brian, and welcome everybody. So in today's webinar, I will be speaking about how conversational AI assistants can help you really take your sales and marketing efforts to the next level. Now, before I get into what an AI assistant is and how an AI assistant works, I first want to talk about, what the most common problems are that an AI assistant can help you solve for. So, I'm in marketing, I'm embedded in the marketing team, and as marketers, right, we deal with leads. We deal with lots and lots of leads. And, we create campaigns to find and engage those leads, and then we do our best to target, only those leads that match our ideal customer profile. But, even then, it's frankly still a numbers game. And we know from experience that many of the top of funnel leads, they just turn out to be not the ideal target really after all, or if they are the ideal target, they might not be interested right now, and they're not ready to buy, right at this moment. So because of all that, we'd rather have too many leads at the top of the funnel than than too few. And as we find leads who we think might be interested in our products, we do as much as we can to engage those leads via all kinds of marketing activities. But even then, right, even with all that effort, all that activity, we know that finding the truly interested prospects, so those people who are ready to buy right now, that can still feel like finding a needle in a haystack, and you might feel a little bit like this. I think that's a donkey, right, or a horse in a haystack. Okay, so we've all been solving for this problem for a long time, and as an industry and as marketers, and we know that certain types of lead sources or lead engagement, or what I've labeled as campaigns here, typically appeal to leads who are at different stages in their buying journey. And the further along they are on their buying journey, the more likely they are to be interested, because otherwise they would have exited out of the funnel or the buyer journey already. So now we see much higher lead volumes with campaigns that are typically associated with the top of the marketing funnel, so earlier in that process. So the vast majority of leads are associated with things like content syndication or digital advertising and on and on and on. And that's here at the top here in the red block in this image. Now, a much smaller amount of leads makes its way down to the later stages in the funnel. The lead sources are typically associated with peer review sites or referrals from partners, or maybe when they're even proactively reaching out to you. Okay, so who among this sea or this ocean of leads is ready to have a more in-depth conversation with one of your salespeople? That's the question, right? So, and without actually directly asking each lead, we really don't know. We can guess, right? And that guess can be quite good if you use some form of lead scoring, but that's still not the same as asking people directly, right? And this is, of course, why most companies, right, they make a clear distinction between marketing qualified leads, or MQLs, and then sales qualified leads, or SQLs. Because sales and marketing don't always agree, or sales might find out that it's not a proper lead. So and when a marketing team has marked the lead as an MQL, that means that they believe that there is a pretty good chance that lead is a good one. But as I just mentioned, when a salesperson actually speaks to that lead, it may turn out that lead is really not a hot lead. So the main limitation that a sales team has is that they only have so many hours in a workday. They have a limited capacity to work. And so if you want to see more selling activity as a company or sales organization, you will have to hire more salespeople. In a typical well-run inside sales team or team of business development reps or BDRs, each BDR can send a maximum of 50 highly personalized touches a day. We know from research from Serious Decisions that an inside sales rep only really touches a lead on average 3 to 4 times, when in reality sometimes 7 to even 12 times is required for maximum effectiveness for that lead to actually respond. And when a sales team is asked to reach out to leads, they will naturally focus first on the leads that they think are ready to have a meaningful conversation with them. And so they will gravitate to leads generated by marketing campaigns that in the past or historically have shown to produce more hot leads, right? More leads who actually want to talk. And then they will ignore all the other leads, or they will get to them when it's already too late. And so this whole dynamic gets worse when you flood the BDRs as marketing team, right? We can flood them with more and more inbound leads. So what if let's suspend disbeliever for a second, right? And what if you could reach out to each individual lead in a more meaningful way, right? What if you could identify all the leads who are truly interested and ready to have a meaningful conversation with your sales team? Okay, so where our conversational AI assistants come in, right? And here's the way to look at this. A conversational AI assistant can be, you should see it as just another member of your inside sales team. And the cool thing is that the AI assistant doesn't have a capacity limit because it's a software as a service solution typically, right? It's not a human being who only works 8 hours in a day or 9 or 10 or whatever. And so you can reach out to every single lead. And so you get rid of the cherry picking that typically happens. You get rid of the delayed or inconsistent follow-up, and you get rid of the leads falling through the cracks. So AI assistants, they have no capacity limit, and they can help you scale your inside sales team. And the AI assistant can work without getting tired through all the leads. And in some cases, as many as we'll see in a little bit, as many as 20% of all the worked leads will respond to and engage with the AI assistant. And then out of all those engaged leads, what we've seen in our experience at Conversa, we've seen more than 40% of those engaged leads actually turn into hot leads, meaning, leads or people who are truly ready for a more meaningful conversation with your sales team. So as I just said, AI assistants can be part of your team. They augment your team. They work together with your people. Now, there's a division of labor here. The AI assistant focuses on necessary, routine, but very important conversations that your people won't do well or don't do at all today because they just simply don't have the time. And then your team, your people can focus on what they're good at and what they would prefer doing anyway, right? So your marketing people, I don't know, they want to dream up the next killer campaign. Your salespeople want to build relationships with customers and ultimately close more deals. Now, it's important to remember, right, these AI assistants are not here to replace people. I think the better way to look at this is that an AI assistant will make your team much more productive. So to give you a sense of where the line is between what a person should do versus an AI assistant, we put together this diagram here. And the higher the predictability and repeatability of a task, the more likely it is that an AI assistant can and should perform that task. And that's shown here on the horizontal axis. And when a task represents a lower value, this is on the vertical axis, you might not want to put your expensive salespeople on those tasks. So again, in those cases, an AI assistant is probably the better option, especially when those tasks have to be done over and over and over again. Let's talk a little bit about what an AI assistant actually does. An AI assistant will reach out over email or SMS text to each individual lead, and when that lead responds, the AI assistant will interpret the reply. It will extract what the intent is of the message, and then it will send back a tailored response. And then the exchange keeps going back and forth in a two-way, dynamic way, just like would happen between two people, until the artificial intelligence determines this lead, establishes that the lead is interested or maybe not. So there's lots of artificial intelligence happening here, right? There's natural language understanding for the incoming messages. There's intent analysis, and then there's natural language generation on the output side, which is key difference with the more classic one-way static nurture campaigns or marketing automation systems that you're familiar with. Okay, so now a good AI assistant will integrate with that marketing infrastructure that I just mentioned to feed the leads into the AI assistant system based on lead status, lead owner, matching leads from different campaigns to different conversation types, and then also to pull any relevant context from the conversation, right? What product is this about? What's the name of this person? And so on and so on. All right, so here is a quick example. Bill, in this case, is a customer. Bill downloaded a free software trial. Then there's Nicole, the AI assistant here on the left. And Nicole follows up, just like you or I would. Bill responds in this case, and you can see that Nicole, the AI, actually continues the conversation. So she asks about what the right phone number is, and Bill actually directs her to his cell number. So we didn't have the right phone number, so we get a different phone number. Now, when this is all settled, the AI assistant provides all this information, marks it as a hot lead for Colby, who's the salesperson. And then afterwards, a few days later, the AI assistant will actually wake up again, if you like, and follow up to make sure that the two, that Nicole and Bill actually spoke, to make sure that Bill actually got everything that he needed. Now, this is a pretty basic example, but it can get much more complex than this, but hopefully it kind of gives you a sense of what's possible here. All right, now, for an AI assistant to work, it's all about having the right conversation with the lead that is relevant to where they are in the buyer journey. And so what I'm going to do next is walk you through a few different scenarios and highlight what conversations are appropriate for each of these scenarios. So the first one I want to show is inbound lead follow-up here. It's in the top, what I call swim lane, I guess, at the top here on this slide. So for the marketing automation system, I've used the Marketo logo, but you can swap that out for whatever your favorite marketing automation system is of choice. So when you score your leads, you will typically have your inside salesperson follow up with your highest quality leads, your A leads. Now for the lower scoring leads, rather than using stale mass emails, you can greet every individual with a personal touch. You can have the AI assistant do that. And these are the leads higher up in the funnel that had maybe some interaction with your company, but not enough to assign actually a salesperson for follow-up. And when the AI assistant starts a conversation with the lead and establishes true interest, then the lead is connected with the salesperson. All right, that was number one. Now, scenario number two is in the swim lane below, and here I'm showing how to handle aged marketing leads. So in this case, you're trying to spark some interest with leads who've gone cold by re-engaging with them. And here, the AI assistant works its way through typically a larger set of older or cold leads to identify which ones are the hot leads for follow-up. Typically, it's a smaller portion, but because the pool is so large, it can still make still have a significant impact on your business. And you can do something similar with winning back former customers. Now, each of these scenarios, they require a different set of conversation types, and at Conversa, we group those conversations together into what we call AI assistant skills. And those I've marked here in green font and in the next few images as well. Okay, so here's a few more scenarios in the world of marketing. At the top here, you can see event management. So an event can be a trade show, a webinar, a customer conference, maybe a roadshow or whatever, any type of event with many customers or prospects. So the AI assistant will reach out to leads on a contact list to invite them to come to the event. And then after the event, the AI assistant will follow up with the attendees, people who actually showed up at the event, to continue the conversation. Good. So then at the bottom, you can see the scenario of developing new leads. So this is way high up in the funnel, the marketing funnel. So you can have an AI assistant work her way down a list of completely new leads. But for this to work, there has to be some context. That's a key point. So, for example, the list you pump into the system could have people on it who maybe own a similar product, similar to the one that you're trying to sell, but just from a different vendor. Or maybe it's a list of people who are subject to some sort of regulation that your product could help your customers become compliant with. Maybe it's people who are subject to some sort of manufacturer recall. And so that's the context. It has to have some context. They might not have had any interaction with you, but there has to be some relevant context. And if there's none of that type of context for the recipient, then what will happen is that the emails will get deleted or, much worse, get marked as spam. And that's not what you want, right? Because your deliverability will start really taking a hit there. Anyway, so after all that initial outreach, an AI assistant can help nudge the leads along their buyer journey and direct them to the right next assets, that they want to look at, that you think they should look at. But always, of course, keeping an eye out for leads who are ready now to speak with one of your salespeople. Because some people, might be further down the buyer journey. You just didn't know that, right? let's move on to the world of sales. Let's start again with the scenario at the top of the slide. So this one is about leads that scored up to marketing qualified lead. And so marketing determines that this is a proper lead that needs to be handed off to an inside sales team. Now, if after the first 3 days of outreach by the inside salesperson, there's no response from the lead, and that happens a lot, then an AI assistant can take over the outreach. And the leads are probably coming to the SDR by way of a CRM system, and I've used the Salesforce logo here, but this would work well, of course, with any other CRM system. I've marked outreach here as the system used by the SDR, but again, that could be any other sales acceleration or sales engagement system. Now, just a side note on outreach, as you probably know, that's a task management platform for inside sales reps. It's great at enabling the SDR to manage tasks and leads within their capacity. But anytime marketing just drives new campaigns or a new conference event, and that causes like a surge in leads, that surge will break the rep's capacity, and his tasks will go overdue, even if they're using outreach or another tool. So when that happens, the leads will slip through the cracks and opportunities are missed, and that's really where a sales AI assistant can really help with the required capacity to manage those surges in lead volumes, in particular because of its two-way, human mimicking kind of nature, of course. All right, so then let's move on to the bottom swim lane here. You see slightly different use case. Here we're looking at follow-up of dormant leads. So these are leads that were handled by the sales team a few months ago, but that have dropped off the radar of the sales team. So in this case, a sales rep or a partner may have connected with the lead, but for whatever reason, the process may have stalled. And then after a few months, the AI assistant will pick up the process, and if the lead is interested, immediately hand over the conversation to the salesperson or a partner if that's relevant in your case. All right, so here's the case of leads that have actually turned into true opportunities. So at this point, an account executive is truly engaged, but for whatever reason, the AE thinks that the opportunity is just not progressing as well as it should be, and they've deprioritized the opportunity. Now, you can have an AI assistant stay on top of these prospects, and when something does change, and when the prospect is ready for the next step, then the AI assistant can bring the AE back into the conversation again. Okay, so this is a new concept to many of the customers that we speak with, and we often get the same question, which is, where do I start? Well, we see that most customers are successful when they start with one of three scenarios. So first here, we're looking at inbound lead follow-up. It's the first scenario I just walked you through, which is in the world of marketing. When you do this, you suddenly create new pipeline for sales that would otherwise never have existed because the sales team would just never have contact to those B leads anyway, right? And so we have, many years of history, hundreds of millions of messages have flowed through our system, and we've analyzed that traffic, and what we see is that among our clients, we've seen 20% engagement rates in this case. That meaning that people who reply to the AI assistants, those are engaged. They engage in a two-way conversation, and out of those, 40% agree to a conversation with one of your salespeople. All right, so the next one here is net new lead follow-up. Again, so this is about touched leads. This is in the world of sales. This is after an inside salesperson has tried, but they fail to establish contact or connect with the lead. When you do this, we again see very healthy results, similar actually to the ones as it happens to inbound lead follow-up. All right, and then the last good starting point that we've seen work with our clients before they expand to more sophisticated scenarios is this straightforward use case of following up with people who attend an event, so post-event management. Imagine you attended Dreamforce or RSA or some other huge conference, and you scanned like 1,000 or 2,000 badges at the event. And how can you possibly follow up, right, with all those leads in a timely and consistent manner? well, with an AI assistant, you can. And what we've seen when our clients use our AI assistant, they get a 20% engagement rate. And out of those engaged people, about 20% are interested actually in speaking with a salesperson. So on that performance data, the quality of the lead or the contact list and the optimization of the conversation really play an important role in determining what the actual result or outcome is of all this activity. And so when you load less qualified contacts into the system, or you use some messaging that's different from what we've seen work in the past, then you run the risk of lower performance. So that is something to keep in mind when you see all these numbers. Okay, so bringing it back up a level, AI systems, in summary, right, they help you achieve hyperscale by increasing the effectiveness of your salespeople and of your lead flow. AI assistants can help you find the hand raisers, the people who actually raise their hand and say, hey, when you ask them, are you truly interested in what we have to offer? And they say yes. So you ask them if they're interested as opposed to guessing. Now, a good AI assistant will come with pre-built conversations and skills. Remember, skills are the groupings of conversations that perform well because they're trained on millions of interactions that have come before. And that's nothing, that's nothing particular to our AI solution, right? In general, you have to have a lot of training data for artificial intelligence to work for a specific use case. And you want to make sure that those conversations that you don't have to supply all that training data, right? You want to make sure that the AI that those conversations have flowed through the AI platform before you even start using the product. Now, at Conversa, we use this term conversation ready. So a lead is conversation ready or con ready when she's really interested and ready in your product or service and is ready to have a meaningful conversation with one of your salespeople. So AI assistants help you find all the needles in the haystack, right? All the conversation ready leads. And AI assistants will help you break through the capacity limit of your sales team and help them focus on what they're best, right? Which is having those engaging conversations with truly interested people and then ultimately closing more business. So we actually offer a range of AI assistants. Our sales AI assistant is our flagship product. That's the product that I've been talking about today. It actually, is used by a lot of marketing departments, but it helps sales, so we call it the Sales AI Assistant. We have over 1,500 customers. Many of them are lighthouse accounts, household names, as you can see here, and they all trust, the Conversa Sales AI Assistant to reach out and have conversations with their most precious resource, which is their prospective customers. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time today and open it up to questions. Please enter your questions via the chat interface of the viewing tool you're using for this for the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that awesome presentation, Jan, and a lot of awesome questions are coming through for the Q&A already. I've been combing through them, but I'd like to remind everyone to submit their questions via the Q&A widget. Again, if you haven't had the opportunity to do so, if we do not get to your question today, we'll be sure to put you in contact with Jan and his team via email. So no worries there about having questions go unanswered. So now let's get to these questions. The first one I have here is from Annie. Annie is asking, what's the difference between a chatbot and an AI assistant?
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion around that. This is a relatively new market, and terms haven't really settled yet. So, when you say CRM, people will understand that. When you say case management, they'll understand what that is. There's different terms floating around in this world, but so people use different definitions, but here's kind of how I see it and what I've seen, how most people interpret it. So a chatbot really lives on a website. So when you go to a website, a lot of times you'll see a little bot pop up, right? Embedded in the frame, and I'll say, hey, can I help you with something? In most cases, that little bot will just be a tap bot. So you tap on different icons. So it will give you 3 options. You click on one, and it tries to take you through a very predetermined path. If you stray from that path, which sometimes you can't, but if you start typing, if they do give you the option for unstructured responses in free-form text, the bot will fall over pretty quickly. And the reason for that is, there's really no artificial intelligence behind it. It's just a flow diagram. So 2 key differences. 1, typically no true AI, and 2, because it lives on the website, when you close the browser, you lose the connection with that customer. Whereas what I've talked about today, which is more email-based or, asynchronous messaging, like, text or SMS or whatever types of messaging, when you reach out to that customer, they will see it. There's no browser to close, and so you won't lose that, that connection. And so a chatbot's really complementary to what I've talked about today, because it's a good tool to do, to reach people in the moment when they're on your website right there. So those are the main 2 differences.
Yeah, it sounds like one is a more straightforward path versus AI assistant, which offers more flexibility and can be utilized across several more channels. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yep, that's right. And you can imagine when somebody writes an email, they can do it in a million different ways. And so the system, the artificial intelligence platform behind the assistant, has to be able to parse that incoming email and understand the sentences coming in, and not just that, but actually extract the intent of what the customer or the lead is trying to say. And with an email, you get the added complexity. There could be multiple intents in an email. Emails can be long, right, as opposed to, short chat messages, which typically kind of cover just one topic. So there's lots of complexity in understanding natural language and understanding the intent behind that natural language. So you can go many different ways. Now you try to keep them on a track. The conversations I just spoke about are, they have a goal in mind, right? Those are all the skills. Somebody attended your event. Your goal is to find the people who are interested and mark the people who are not interested as not interested, so you don't have to, you don't follow up with them anymore. And that's your goal. But, the customer may not be willing to follow your path, right? And so you might have to follow them on some sidetracks now and then pull them back to your goal and pull them back up. So yeah, there's a lot more complexity there than in the basic chatbot, for sure.
Interesting. Thanks for that. Next question we have is from Adam. Adam asks, I work in a rather traditional B2B industry, and I'm not sure whether AI assistants have a use case in my field. How beneficial can these be to, these being AI assistants, be to lengthy, complex, traditional sales cycles?
Yeah. So in our experience and the world of email and text, it is actually most applicable to people who have longer sales cycles, somewhat higher ASPs, at least to the point where it's a considered purchase. And so it's not this on a whim transaction that you might find by in the world of very cheap transactions for, cheap products for relatively cheap products for consumers, because there has to be some sort of back and forth, and they have to be on a longer buyer journey with you. And so that world can fit in many B2B places. I mean, we have a lot of B2B tech companies as customers, but the reason for that is because a lot of B2B tech companies tend to be early adopters of newer technology and more leading edge when it comes to to trying out newer things. But we also have higher education institutions. We have universities, right, who actually reach out to large numbers of students. That's not B2B necessarily, but it's a considered purchase. And so it's a considered purchase, and because a student doesn't just decide on a whim what college they want to go to, right? Car dealerships is another good example. Cars are, some people might buy a car on a whim, but a lot of people think about it for a while. Manufacturing, and when there's repeat sales involved or whatever, and you want to reach back out to people who've bought from you in the past, that's a good use case. So anything really that's a considered purchase that requires a little bit of back and forth is a great fit for what I kind of walked through today.
Makes sense. Next question I have is from Carla. Carla asks, what other applications do you see for AI assistance? It seems like a lot of the common known use cases for AI assistance when it comes to initial engagement or re-engagement, those types of factors are possible. But what other potential applications do you see, Jan?
Yeah. So you can really, I talked about how an AI assistant does the routine high volume kind of engagement with customers, and companies or organizations they deal with outside parties or customers in general or in particular in all kinds of ways, right? And so it can be pre-sale. Today I've talked about the whole pre-sale world or the world leading up to a purchase, but there's also a post-purchase world, so some companies call it account management, some companies call it customer success, but where you proactively reach out to your existing customers to make sure that they're happy, that they're adopting your product, that you're onboarding them the right way, that you're checking in with them regularly. And when people have lots and lots of customers, you have the same kind of capacity issue where an account management team or a customer success management team just doesn't have enough people, enough hours in the day to give every customer the attention they need. And so at that point, an AI assistant can do very similar things. It's just different skills, different types of conversations. In the world of recruiting, it would work, where you want to reach out to a large number of possible candidates in a more personalized way. If you are part of any, you have, I used to work for a company with thousands and thousands of partners. A lot of them were just a handful of people. When you have that volume of partners, you might want to have an AI assistant reach out to your partners. So there's so many options here. Collections is another one. Of course, how can I forget customer service? That's where a lot of this stuff is already happening. But in customer service, which is more of a proactive or more a reactive kind of world, but this fits in the world of customer service as well. So lots of opportunity.
Yep. Definitely see a lot of different applications there, and it makes a lot of sense given the flexibility of the platform. So thanks for that, Jan. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for questions. Again, if you didn't get your question answered, we'll be following up via email. So keep an eye out on your inbox for a note from us so we can connect you with Jan and his team. I want to thank Jan again for taking the time to chat with us today and provide this awesome presentation, as well as thank all of our attendees to this session today. If you enjoyed today's discussion and are looking for more B2B sales and marketing best practices and inspiration, be sure to check out our upcoming live events. We have a new B2B Sales and Marketing Exchange conference that is taking place August 12th and the 13th up in Boston, Massachusetts, at the new Encore that they just built there. That's going to be an exciting time. Also, our 9th annual B2B Marketing Exchange will be taking place again this upcoming February 2020 in Scottsdale, Arizona. So we hope to see you folks there. Be sure to mark those on your calendars. Friendly reminder that this session will be available on demand for everyone to review and share with your teams. There was a lot of great insights shared here today, and again, thanks to Jan for such a great presentation. We'll be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern and plan to learn from marketing leaders at Aptos, Fuse, and Content for Demand, and learn a little bit more about how to create content that truly resonates with buyers. So until then, thanks again for joining us, and have a great rest of the day.